Some pretty interesting news came out here in the Netherlands yesterday about night shifts and how a different schedule can actually improve performance of the employees, let them make fewer mistakes, and overall be happier, healthier, and all of that good stuff. So actually what they did was a pilot in a hospital where people used to work, let's say a shift from 11 p.m. till 7 in the morning, and then the next shift 7 in the morning till later. So they changed that, especially the shift change from 7 in the morning, they made that earlier to 4 in the middle of the night, so that the night shift would be sort of more divided over the evening shift in that case, and then the day shift that follows after. So I thought, okay, let's dive into that and see how that actually affects the circadian rhythm. So maybe a few things that are good to know is this study, it seems, was done in the Netherlands, so it's about the place on Earth where that is. Right now it's winter, so actually the night is pretty long, so that's important to know. And I guess the thing that they mentioned that was important is the amount of nighttime that people get in order to sleep. So you can imagine if you're working the whole night, then by the time you can sleep, actually the sun comes up. So if your shift ends at 7, probably you're gonna go home and then sleep, but then the sun's already up, so that kind of messes up your circadian rhythm. So I thought, let's take a look, and maybe the first thing to do is made a little tool to have a look. Maybe I'll put this on our website so you can play around with it as well. It's not perfect, but you can kind of, important thing is it changes throughout the year, of course. You can change the date here as well to see how it affects things in summer. And if you're in a different location than me, then you can just drag your pin around on the map. That won't make much of a difference, but you get the idea. So sleep. Thought I'll take an 8-hour window, and this is what they did in the study, so let's go with that for now. And then we would have these different shifts. So this is, I'm not gonna spell it out for you. Right, so let's look at the results. A few important things here. Total daylight exposure is the same because that's just taken from the daylight that we have right now. We'll go into, or like that is there throughout the entire day at this time of the year. Average per shift, well, since we have 3 different shifts and we're covering a 24/7 period, that's also not going to change on average. What does change is the average nighttime sleep that you're able to get and the standard deviation from that. So, and then the CronoRoster is what I call it because that's how the study called it somewhere. Yeah, CronoRoster. So let's take a look. So I guess the difference here is if you start at 4 in the morning instead of 7 in the morning, at this time of the year, you could sleep. I mean, let's assume you need an hour, maybe that's a bit short before you can get to work, but if you can do it so quickly, then you can sleep until 3 in the morning and still get to work at 4, and then you can go to bed at 7, which might be a bit early, but hey, it's healthy. So, and then you can get 8 hours of complete darkness at this time of the year. So that's gonna change if if it's summer and the night is shorter. But so that's pretty good. And then it doesn't matter too much. So I guess 7 in the morning was never really a problem for people working that shift. The one after, I guess, also doesn't matter too much. Maybe interesting to see is how little daylight you actually get if you work this shift, but I guess also doesn't matter because you just sleep a normal window. This doesn't make sense, by the way, but I guess we can kind of ignore these as you would just have a normal, if you're working throughout the day, you can just sleep whatever you normally do. If you sleep at 10 p.m., 11 p.m., midnight, you still have enough time to even sleep in the morning if you get this shift. And the most important one is the other end of the first one then. So there is really where I guess what the study found, that you will, with this shift, you will still be able to get a little bit of darkness to sleep. And actually, they mentioned, people getting some sunlight, but actually while you're working, you don't at this time of the year. If you're working 8 in the evening, it's already dark. Until 4, it's dark. If you work from 11, it's dark. And then at 7, it's just about to become sunrise. But apparently, it's I guess it makes sense. It's a shorter time when it's really nighttime, when you feel like you should be sleeping but you're not. So I guess that helps. But so yeah, it shows that if you then go home, you can get some darkness to sleep, and the rest will be in daylight. And this is really terrible because it's just bright outside, and when you are gonna sleep. So that's not great. Here we have a bit of a visualization. So just to show you of like how things overlap and when you would go to sleep. It's not perfect. A few weird bumps in there, but kind of get the point. I also wanted to show you how that looks in Soon and how easy it is to make a schedule like that. So this was the original schedule where you have a day shift starting at 7, then next one starting at 3, and at 11 the night shift. So that was not a great combination, they said. And then let's actually generate a shift here with our shift generator. Right, so this is supposedly better, that, it breaks at 4 and then the next shift begins. Yeah, I can see that work. I'm interested to hear, what do you think? And if you think it makes sense to go more into this circadian rhythm and have these kinds of research back up the kind of interface that we have in Soon, would it make sense to show like daylight, etc.? And based on where you're on Earth, if you are further up north, you get even less daylight. Of course, if you're around the equator, I guess things are more easygoing and more steady throughout the whole year. So would it make sense to add these things and sort of have some insights in a workforce management software and see how it might affect people's performance, how it might affect how people feel in general about their shifts? Maybe the sleep window, or the time they get to be able to rest when it is dark outside, or the daylight exposure they get while being awake or working. If you think those things are interesting, let me know, then we can always see how we can add that to our product. And yeah, this is not a perfect thing, but I'll drop it somewhere on our website, and if you want to play around with it, and maybe we'll make it a bit better. All right, thanks for watching, and let me hear your thoughts.